All right guys, today on Let's Fish TV, we're gonna be at Corpus Christi fishing the expansive flats that are running all along the Intercoastal Canal. You know, we're gonna be targeting two species of fish, trout and redfish, and I have a good feeling we're gonna be putting some fish in the boat today. We're dealing with a tough condition with a full moon, but we've never let tough conditions stop us before, and we're not gonna let it stop us today. I hope y'all enjoyed the ride today, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. Let's Fish TV is on the air right now.
That is a fish. Oh man, look at this.
It's time for the only program that brings you real-time fishing reports from the Southwest region every week.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, look at that. Woo!
This is Let's Fish.
Welcome to Let's Fish TV. I'm your host, Andrew Upshaw. Today we're gonna be at Corpus Christi Bay. This whole area is so fertile, has so many different species of fish, but today we're gonna be targeting two of my favorites, redfish and trout. And I'm just gonna tell you guys, it's gonna be a fun episode full of some really good fish catches. We'll also have this week's fishing report from your local region from our insider reporter. In the meantime, I'm gonna get this new Mamba 24VX launch. This is a brand new boat by Waypoint Customs, and I'm gonna tell you, it is an absolute dream machine, and I can't wait to show you a few things about it as well here in just a few minutes. In the meantime, I'm gonna get everything done, get everything launched up, and I'll toss it back to the studio for your weekend planner.
Hey everybody, these lunar tables are showing fair fishing conditions on both days this weekend. Peak daytime activity will start at 8:26 on Saturday and 9:28 on Sunday morning. Nighttime action will pick up around 9:03 on Saturday and 10:09 on Sunday night. Depending on your local area, expect the sun to rise around 6:26 and set around 8:38. Evenings will feature a moon that's 78% visible. Make sure to stay right here so you can check out all of the current fishing reports from throughout the area. Plus, I'll return with the 2020 and 2021 Bass Master Classic champ, Hank Cherry, to answer this week's Ask the Pro question.
All right guys, today we're out here around Corpus Christi fishing for two of my favorite fish, redfish and trout. We'll be doing a couple of different things from soft plastics to spoons. We're gonna figure something out today and hopefully put some fish in the boat. But we're dealing with some pretty tough conditions. We're dealing with a full moon. You know, and full moons always have a weird effect on fish, no matter fresh or salt water. And right now, from what I've been told by all the guides and people who I've talked to that fish out here, it has made the fishing kind of tough. The last 2 weeks have been really, really good, but I'm just gonna go and tell you, we're gonna figure something out. And I'm gonna head out there right now, and I'm gonna see if I can find some for us. There we go. Oh, it's a nice trout. Oh yeah, there we go, guys. Choked it too. Look at that. Absolutely choked it. Guys, today we're at the Corpus Christi Bay and we're fishing for trout. You know, and the cool thing about trout is A, they're delicious. See, I'm gonna get this fish back real quick. A nice keeper though, a really good fish. But right outside of Corpus Christi, and that's where I'm staying this week. And I met up with the guys from Waypoint Customs, Waypoint Marine over there. And let me tell you guys, I picked up this brand new boat. This is a Mamba 24VX. Probably one of the coolest boats I've ever been in. And they told me a little bit about this area and said the trout are really stacked up right now in the flats where there's big potholes right off the main channel. And that's what we're targeting today is big trout. And hopefully we'll catch one of those really, really good ones. But you know, the cool thing about it is I'm actually able to use some bass techniques and bass rods, reels, baits to actually catch these trout. And that's what we're gonna talk about today. Today we're gonna be using one of my favorite baits, and that is a caffeine shad. A caffeine shad is a soft plastic jerk bait, putting it on a jig head. We're kind of slowly twitching it around this area. I have a feeling we're gonna catch a lot of fish today. And one thing about it, it's a beautiful day, a little bit of wind, and that's what you need. We're gonna talk about that here in just a minute. And hopefully I'm gonna get back out there and catch me another nice trout.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you once again by the good folks at DD26 Fishing. Made in America, billet aluminum, the absolute best transom savers and steering clips money can buy. 20% off and free shipping with the code Lone Star. Now this week we've come to beautiful Lake Ray Hubbard, which is just on the outskirts of the city of Dallas. There's a lot of boat traffic on this lake, but there's also some great bass fishing. The keys to bass on Lake Ray Hubbard are the bridges, the riprap, and the marinas. Start your day on the riprap along I-30 either side and fish your top waters like your buzzbait and pop-ars. Fish your Cincos all along that riprap as long as it's shaded. Once that sun does get up and it gets hot, those bass are going to go a little deeper and they're going to seek the shade again. So go to the marinas. Use your swim jigs, your spinner baits. Work all those boat slips in the marinas for your Ray Hubbard bass. Now over at Lake Lavon, you'll find the sand bass out on the main lake humps and points in big schools. Use your slabs and your spoons while they're down, but keep that tiny torpedo in a clear color or a chrome color handy on the deck for when those sandies come up to the top. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes. Be sure and check us out on Facebook, Lone Star Lakes.
Oh, there we go. Big red. Oh, man. It's a good one here, guys. Woo. Come on, fish. Nice fish here. Oh, it's a good little redfish. Still using that caffeine shad. And that caffeine shad is one of my favorite baits, no matter the species of fish that I'm dealing with. And today is really no different. You know, this is a nice little redfish, perfect size. Let me get this thing in real quick. Oh, there we go. And here we go, guys. Check this redfish out. Nice little redfish, not a giant, but a good one nonetheless. A little caffeine shad. Let's get this fish back real quick. Man, I love these things. The little spots on the back end, just such a beautiful, beautiful fish. There's no doubt about it. That's definitely one of the hardest fighting fish that I think I've ever run into. Let's get him back. Well, let's talk a little bit about this caffeine shad real quick. You know, the caffeine shad, like I said, is probably one of, if not the most versatile bait that you can use. And here, it kind of tore it up a little bit. But it's that tail. The tail is the biggest key. It has that straight tailworm type tail that actually bulges at the end. And what this does is it causes a swimming action. Every time you twitch that bait wants to swim a little bit. And that is what actually triggers those fish into biting, and is definitely a big key. We're actually targeting today some trout. Got lucky and caught a bonus redfish, so we gotta show it to you. But you know, had that fish been a keeper, you know, that was just under the slot size. Had that fish been a keeper, we would have thrown him in the live well and maybe had a nice tournament fish had we been fishing a tournament as well. But you know, if you run down through this flat, you're gonna find a mixture of clean and dirty water. Well, you gotta find that mixture. It can't be too clear, but it can't be too dirty at the same time. And paying attention to the watercolor is definitely gonna help you catch a lot more of these fish when you're out here on this flat.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Academy Sports and Outdoors, making it easier than ever to gear up and have fun out there. Visit Mississippi, Wanderers welcome. Power Pole, total boat control. Balls Out, made in the USA. Heavy duty mounts for your fish finders.
Check that out, guys. Holy cow. Nice trout here on the caffeine shad. I almost lipped him. There we go. Oh, right here at the boat. Oh, that's a nice trout there. Oh, wow. Check that out. Check that out, guys. Holy cow. nice trout here on the caffeine shad. I almost lipped him. I mean, look at that thing. That is a good one there. Remember, when you catch these trout, don't try to lip them like you would a freshwater fish like a bass or a crappie. They do have teeth and they will bite you. Get this fish back real quick. I want to talk to you a little bit about what we are doing right now. So we're catching a mix of redfish and trout, and finding the right area is so crucial. But it's kind of cool to see how these fish set up. So when I'm around these potholes, and a pothole is a big sand spot in the middle of a grass bed, and when I'm around these particular areas, the cool thing is you can find different species of fish and different types of potholes. So right here where we're fishing, there's a lot smaller potholes. They're a little bit more isolated off the main, big sets of potholes, and that's where the trout seem to be set up. Now, when it comes to the redfish, like the couple that I caught earlier, they're on a little bit larger, big sand spots, those big potholes, because they need that area to be able to school up and chase that bait around. Those trout kind of like to sit down in those other isolated potholes, and that's where they tend to catch them. Now, the technique to catch them on the caffeine shad with the jig head is pretty simple, honestly. So you cast it out there, you want that bait to go down, you want to fish on a light jig head, and that's a really important thing. You want to fish on a 1/16 to an 1/8 ounce. I really don't like to go much heavier than that. You let it go down and you just pop it up a couple times, pop it up once, and you're keeping that bait down in the strike zone. Now, one really big key is to not cast into the wind. Because it's really hard whenever this wind is blowing like it is today. It's hard to make those casts, those real direct casts. And secondly, you can't fish your bait as effectively, and you're fishing unpressured fish. Every fish that you go by in the boat, unlike in freshwater, gets spooked because you're fishing in 1 to 2 foot of water. They hear the slapping of that boat and they will swim away fast. The fish that are out in front of you though, they haven't heard you yet, and you're more likely to catch them. But that is one big important key, is making really long casts. And right now that's what we're having to do, 40, 50 yard casts, and you gotta be really accurate. You'll see little sand spots. You gotta have good polarized glasses. You'll see little sand spots out there, and you have to make real precise casts into those sand spots, and you'll impart the action into the bait, and that's when you're gonna get the strike.
Welcome back to the Louisiana report of Let's Fish. I tell you what, we're going to start out right here at Cajun Paradise Charters on Lake Calcasieu. Our fishing's been great, trout and redfish, as long as the weather is good. But Hopedale, Delacroix, lots of trout getting caught. Captain Brett Ortiz has been killing them, catching limits of trout every day. Live shrimp's the best there. Tell you what, redfish, Captain Charlie Thomason, he's been limited out every day on redfish. So it seems like all along the whole Gulf Coast of Louisiana, saltwater fishing's great. Reminder, snapper season's open on the weekends, and I tell you what, just watch the weather, get out there, try to beat the heat, fish early and late. On the freshwater side of things, seems like you're still in this long summertime pattern. Your crappie, they're in deep on brush piles anywhere from 20 to 35 feet of water. Bass, early and late's best there. Deep, Carolina rigging points. I tell you what, if you like fishing at night, the full moon, you can go throw a spinnerbait or a buzzbait along the bank around some bushes. Doing real well on that also. Pro Cajun Phil, Captain Kevin Broussard saying happy fishing, may God bless, and we're going to see you next week.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Lou's, feel the difference. Mamba Boats, ride with pride. Strike King, tie one on. Glacier Glove, stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades. Fishing Specialties, makers of the premier mount assembly for live sonar.
There we go. Guys, check that trout out. Man, that is a nice one. That's a good, solid trout. Oh, there we go. Oh, is that a trout? Oh, it is. That's a good trout. Oh, wow. Okay. That's where I'm talking about. Oh, man. Okay. I couldn't even tell, you know, because the deal is it was running so fast. Oh man, come on, stay hooked. There we go. Guys, check that trout out. Man, that is a nice one. That's a good, solid trout. We're here at around the Corpus Christi area. I'll get that fish back real quick. We're around the Corpus Christi area. We're fishing these big, expansive flats, and I'm gonna tell you guys, it can be really intimidating, especially for someone from out of town. You know what I did? I'll tell you straight up. You know, I came out here and I found a few fish on my own, but I also called the guys at Waypoint Customs. I've been doing this for a really long time, and they have a great operation going, but they also have a stable of great guides that guide out of there. You know, they're all sponsored by Waypoint, and I actually called up a few of their guides, and they were able to actually set us up on some really good trout and told us a few general areas where we could go catch them. And I'm just a standard guy off the road, and I called them up, and they actually gave me some pretty good information, told me where to go catch some fish, and we were able to put some in the boat. So we're dealing with a full moon. And you know, in freshwater, the way that we approach a full moon is a lot of times that means that fish either feed first thing in the morning or in the dead middle of the day, and then they don't bite the rest of the day. And it really messes up their feeding habits. Well, down here, it's a lot of the same. They bite first thing, they'll bite right in the middle of the day, and then the end of the day is a really, really tough time to catch them. So paying attention to that moon phase, paying attention to the peak feeding times. Now in freshwater, we don't deal with the feeding times as much. Now granted, some people will say that definitely makes a difference, but in saltwater, it makes all the difference in the world is paying attention to that feeding chart. So you have peak times and sub times where they're not as good, and knowing those times will absolutely make your day way better. So pay attention to those little details. What direction the wind's blowing? Is the wind blowing across the flat? Is it blowing into the flat? Where the bait fish are. Pay attention to if you see bait fish flipping. That's a huge key as well. So all of those things will help you find fish.
Hey, just because it's really hot, don't think you can't catch bass shallow this time of year. In fact, that's one of my really favorite ways to fish, with a big plastic worm, something in the 9 to 12 inch range. My favorite color is plum, which works for a lot of our colors across the state at this time, but sometimes I'll go with a green pumpkin or green pumpkin variation. Now I'm fishing shallow. I'm fishing that worm on a 4/0 or 5/0 hook behind a 5/16 ounce sinker. Because I am shallow, that's plenty of weight to get that big worm down there, and it works extremely well. Concentrating on rocks. Anything that has a little rock gathering, a rocky point, a rocky hump. As far as the crappie fishing, most of the crappie are still coming from 10 to 12 foot deep, and not so much as in the brush pile. You can certainly catch them there, but also fish the areas right around the brush pile. Those fish are in little groups right now. They're moving around, they're feeding up good. The crappie fishing is good in Oklahoma, but you can't catch them if you don't know.
There we go. Ooh, that's not a bad one. There we go. Check that out, guys. You know, today we've been around the Corpus Christi area, been chasing these trout. You know, there's something that not as many people from out of town might not know, is these trout took a big hit a couple of years ago with the big freeze that we had. I'm gonna get this fish back real quick. They lost a lot of their population of trout, so they're working on rebuilding it. So when you do catch some, make sure you throw a few back. It really does help the population a little bit, and you don't take as many out. You know, don't get me wrong, everybody around here loves eating trout, but definitely take care of the resource. If you come down here, there's a plethora of nice trout fishing, redfish, all through this general area and all up and down the Texas coast. But right now we're around that Corpus Christi area, and I'm telling you guys, I've had an absolute blast. You know, I've caught a couple different species of fish, from trout to redfish today. And you know, I've actually got the real unique opportunity is I'm out in a brand new boat. It's only been out about 8 months. It's the Mamba custom boat. It actually is the 24 footer. Now they actually have a 22 and a 20 footer coming down the line here in the next few months, but I'm in the marquee boat, the one that has made the name of Mamba. And you know, as most of you know, I haven't spent just a ton of time out in saltwater. I mean, I've spent some, and I've been all over the world, you know, fishing peacock bass and muskie and everything in between. But redfish and trout are near and dear to my heart. They're one of my favorite fish to fish for. They're both fight so unique. You know, the cool thing about trout is a lot of times you'll be popping that caffeine shad up and they'll hit it and they're going so fast that it's hard to catch up with them and set the hook on them. And then you have the redfish that are just bulldogs. I mean, you hook them and they go the other direction as hard as they can. It's such a different fight, but each their best fight. And they're a lot of fun to catch. And there's no doubt that down in this area has a great population of them. I can't wait to come back. And I hope y'all learned a little bit about how to catch these trout, how to catch these redfish, and a little bit about this Mamba boat. So guys, I hope y'all enjoyed today. I'm gonna run back to the ramp and I'll see you here in just a minute.
Watch our latest episode or catch up on past episodes on our website at letsfishtv.com. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter for new fishing videos every day. And download the free Waypoint TV app to get all the latest episodes every week on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Mercury, Go Boldly, Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder, Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. Plan or book your fishing charter at orangebeach.com. MotorGuide's Tour Pro with GPS anchor, powered by Passion. Coastline Trailers, built by fishermen for fishermen.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's get right on over to your Ask the Pro question for this week. Brantley wants to know, what is some good advice for anglers who don't own a boat and have to fish from the shore or from the dock? For an answer, we asked the 2020 and 2021 Bassmaster Classic champ, Hank Cherry.
If you don't own a boat or you have to fish from the shore or a dock, I'll just go ahead and tell you that's how I started. That's how everybody starts. You fish from the shore, you throw out as far as you can. You get in the boat, you throw towards the bank. You can do the same presentations pretty much from the shore as you can do from the boat. My best advice to you is this: just enjoy fishing, having the chance to be out there. You know, we live in a free country. Fishing is a privilege, and just enjoy it. If you see some trash on the bank, pick it up while you're there, catch a few fish, have a good time.
Thank you so much, Hank. If you too want some help from one of the pros, simply go to letsfishtv.com, follow that Ask the Pro link to submit a question.
Here's today's Right Stuff, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
All right, guys, today we are around the Corpus Christi area and we caught a bunch of fish, a bunch of really nice fish, especially some really nice trout, and caught them using a couple of different baits, and I'm gonna break those down for you here now. The first bait, what I would actually consider, you know, the mainstay, the one I kept in my hand most of the time, was a 5-inch caffeine shad by Strike King. Watermelon red was the color, and I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, one thing I absolutely noticed is when you got in cleaner water, where it wasn't as much stain, that watermelon red seemed to work exponentially better than just about any other color that I tried. And I was using 20-pound fluorocarbon, and this is about a 2-foot leader, tying an Alberto knot to 30-pound Contra braid. This is Strike King braid. And I started out using a 7.3 Magnum hammer, and I actually missed a couple of fish, so I went to a little bit lighter action rod. This is a square bill crankbait rod, the custom series rod. It's a 6.9 medium action, and it has that moderate tip, and I was able to actually hook a lot of those trout. Those trout have a softer mouth than redfish or others, so you had to have that softer tip to feel those bites. A 7.5-to-1 gear ratio reel completed this. You had to have a fast reel. I can't stress that enough. If you're down here and you're trying to catch those trout, they run so fast, so hard, that a quick gear ratio reel is necessary. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know I sure had a blast shooting it out there. Until next time, I'll see you on the water.